So from transforming the channel experience and digging into the developer's experience at OP, we're moving on to transforming the digital experience. And our next speaker comes from another global industry player with its roots here in the Nordics. I'm delighted to welcome Raheel Farhat to the stage. Hi, Raheel.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. He's the digital experience platform lead at Konecranes. So great to have you here this afternoon. Perhaps we can put your slides up. That all looks like
Right.
it's ready to go. Raheel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Claire, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a great time in this webinar series. So today, I'll be talking about the APIs and how they are transforming and advancing that material flow business. I'm Raheel Farhat, and I'm working as a digital experience platform lead in Konecranes. So those who might not know Konecranes, I mean, Konecranes is a industry leader in manufacturing industrial cranes as well as the port cranes. We are active in 50 different countries and have more than 17,000 employees, with more than 20,000 connected equipment as well around the world. Today, we serve customers in various different industries. To some of the notable ones are the container handling industry, the oil and gas, in the automotive industry, the pulp and paper, the process industry. So those are some of the key industries where our customers reside in. And what we are providing to them are different solutions that help move materials from place A to place B. And we do that through our industrial cranes and the material handling solutions in the industrial space. And then in the big shipyards and the container handling terminals, there we provide these massive cranes that can be in the form of small mobile equipment running in the terminals to big cranes that can be of a size of a football field. So that's what we are doing and what we are manufacturing. And with that, you might start to wonder that what are these heavy manufacturing makers have to do with the APIs, and what is the role of APIs in this in their world? To better understand that, I would like I will try to introduce to you the environment in which we operate and how we are affected by what happens around us and the technology development that happens around us. So, for us, our industry is very much affected by the industrial revolutions that have happened over the past, the mechanization of the equipment, the mass production, automation coming into play, and today the cyber physical systems that are coming into being. And the Industry 4.0 is something that heavily affects the environment in which we operate and hence our equipment as well. The technologies, if we look at the modern technologies, cloud computing, edge IoT, APIs, machine learning, augmented reality, the 5G networks, they are all something that affects us in one way or another. And these technologies are not something alien to us. Konecranes have been leveraging these digital technologies as well as particularly the Internet of Things and edge technologies for more than a decade. Now, we utilize these modern technologies when it comes to um, oh, yeah, when it comes to our equipment. We started off with making our equipment more robust. We introduced more assistive electronics to the equipment, making them more safer to operate, then more automated to avoid any human errors. And today we are going towards an evolution of these equipment where it's not just about the equipment itself, but it's about the environment in which these equipment operate and how efficiently these machines have the capability to move the materials from place A to place B. And the idea is to do that most efficiently, more productively, and more safely, the most important thing in our industry. This not only affects equipment that we manufacture and how that equipment involves, the technology also affects the way we provide services to our customers. From the olden days where it used to be more reactive in nature, now moving more towards, already moved towards preventive and predictive maintenance services, and in the near future, more towards the prescriptive maintenance services, where it's not just about, predicting what's going to happen, but predicting and then providing a solution as well on how do you can kind of like recover from the situation that has happened in terms of the breakdown of the equipment. So today, in terms of our what we are offering to our customers, we have a complete lifecycle care program, which is basically the connectivity of the machine, the insights from the machine, and utilizing those insights to optimize the operations. I mean, that is at the core of this whole lifecycle program. And we make sure that from the time the machines have been put into place, from the end they are in operations, and until the time they retire, we do it in the most efficient manner and utilize the data as well as the insights from that data to better help our customers maintain those equipment, maintain them more safely, operate them more safely, and then to service them in the most optimal manner as well. In order to do that, of course, we have over the decade or so have created many different customers, many different services, digital services, in the form of customer portals, standalone mobile solutions, e-commerce solutions. I mean, all these solutions, they serve the customer business processes, helping them enhance the productivity of the machine, the efficiency of the machine, and ultimately making them more safer. And what all these solutions have resulted in is, it has helped us, leverage all these technologies and have greatly fueled the growth appetite of our businesses, as well as given us the physical proof of what digitalization and the opportunities that digitalization can enable in our industry. What we have also learned over this whole, transformation journey or digitalization journey is that our customers needs are pretty much also impacted by the digital opportunities, and they are pretty rapidly changing, as well as the changes in the environment occurs as well. And in order, we see that both these the growing appetite of the business, as well as the rapidly changing needs of our customer, have urged us to further transform. And we see that, what we have done is that we see that this transformation is needed in then two additional areas. um, what has happened there is that we have started to first transform in the way we serve our businesses. I mean, we have had a goal of shortening the time to the market. We need to bring these digital solutions faster to the market, and we have started to do that by, changing the way we serve our customers. And the way we have done it is to highly modularized our digital platform with reusable components, dividing it into multiple layer, more Lego-fied kind of approach, where one layer builds on top of another layer. And these layers, of course, incorporates a lot of different internal focusing APIs, different microservices that are then connected through the APIs. And the way we have been serving our customers, or change the way that we serve our internal businesses, has been by utilizing or reusing the different components in the whole digital platform. That way, we not only, reduce the cost, but also reduce the time for these digital experiences to be created for our businesses. Um, the second transformation has been more about the customers and how we serve our customers. Previously, it has been in our industry has been the approach has been much more traditional, where push a product to the market, but then it's now more transforming into the way we understand the customers, and we can understand the customers' jobs to be done. So understanding that, integrating around those jobs to be done, is the way as well we bring the second level of transformation in order to address the rapidly changing customer needs. What in doing so, in understanding the customer jobs to be done, we understand now better that how our equipment and what role it plays in the whole ecosystem of other equipment, other machines that are operating in the customer premises. And not, and that is true, equally true, in the uh, industrial space, and it's equally true in a container handling terminal as well, where these machines are again part of a bigger ecosystem where there is vessel, there is different kind of equipment from the time the vessel arrives at the port, and the containers are handled by these machines, and then they are moved out from the container onto the roads. There are various different equipments operate, and we see that this is we acknowledge that our cranes are not an entity of its own, but they are part of a bigger ecosystem. And for that ecosystem to work more efficiently, all these different equipments have to work more cohesively. There was a professor, I think many of you might be aware of, Clayton Christensen. He said that the way for innovation to progress forward is by means of these key technology providers to integrate forward. And unfortunately, in our industry, it hasn't been so true. So where many OEMs have focused on their own solutions or own digital solutions to make their equipment more productive and more efficient, none of them have failed to integrate forward. And hence we what we learned is that the customers have taken it upon themselves to solve those problems and integrate forward. And from this transformation of understanding what the customer business processes are and what role our machines play and how can we bring the overall efficiency into the whole process, what we have learned is that many of our customers, especially the bigger ones, the more mature ones, have already started to integrate forward. And instead of asking for customer portals, they have started that every individual OEM provides. They have started to now demand APIs to fulfill their needs, so they can create their own experiences for the and bring insights from all the different equipment that operate in their yard to be able to bring efficiency to their processes. We don't say that portals are irrelevant, but portals are still relevant. But I mean, they are definitely not the only solution through which we serve our customers. Even even if you are providing portals, if you are just providing statistical insights, statistical non-processed insights to the customers, then they won't be able to take action on it. And it's true that the customers, neither do they have time nor they have resources, neither the expertise perhaps to interpret that data. So unless your portals provide insights, that data is kind of like irrelevant, or something that sits there but not something that they can benefit from. And what we also realize that when you provide this raw data, those cannot be kept locked behind the portal. So if nothing else, what you take away from this slide is that the customers, their needs are changing. There is there is a drive for them to integrate forward, and they have taken it upon themselves to integrate forward by and demanding now APIs from OEM manufacturers like Konecranes. The only motivation for them to use the portal is if those will provide actionable insights for them, which they perhaps don't have the expertise to interpret the data themselves. So what we do there is that we provide today our customers with we complement these customer portals with the data provided through the APIs. There are multiple benefits of this. First of all, like I showed in the equipment evolution path, this is where the equipment being part of the material flow process, that's what it enables as well. So instead of bringing more efficiency to the equipment in isolation, now it's about equipment being part of a material flow. And how we do it is to expose the data from these equipment towards the customers ERP, their terminal operating systems, their own maintenance management systems, and helping them by providing them the data, we are able to bring the efficiency to the whole ecosystem that is around it. But this of course, this whole journey, I mean, it is there are quite many challenges, and through different presenters, I think we have been hearing a lot of the technical challenges that are around it, both technical as well as the business challenges. We do see that these APIs, some of the technical challenges that we face, for example, is that, like I said, we went into the first transformation of how we serve our businesses by modularizing our whole architecture and building a lot of APIs internally, a lot of microservices. But then we come to the challenge of, okay, how do we expose the same data towards our customer, and that too in a most secure manner? I mean, these machines are operating in a terminals in the ports, and there the level of security required for exposing the data is extremely high, and it's quite regulated as well. Um, we also, on the technical side, we do think that how do we, if we provide APIs to our customers, how do we ensure that tomorrow, if there are changes, those changes are not breaking changes? I mean, we are in a B2B environment and in a very conservative industry in that sense. So it's not like that, you expose an API today and tomorrow you tell your customers that, hey, you need to change your integrations and upgrade to the new version of the API that provides XYZ data. So that's quite a big challenge for us to overcome technically as well. And then, I mean, yes, we can provide data from the cloud, but then for us, many of our customers have the demand of having the data on the sites, on the premises, where the data cannot leave the premise to the cloud, and we need to be able to expose that data. Well, in many cases it's real-time data as well, so um, it needs to be available on the edge, and hence we need to figure out how do we create edge APIs, and then how do we monetize and securely exchange data on the edge as well. Well, apart from the technical challenges, we do have the business challenges on top of that, and that is about, how do you monetize the APIs? Can you monetize the APIs? What kind of data can you monetize? Like I said, raw data perhaps not monetizable. Insights from the data, yes, monetizable, but then you definitely need to understand the customer's business processes, their integrations as well, and how those insights can directly bring benefit to the customer without this middle layer of interpretation and analysis. So how can you provide pre-processed, prepared and prepared insights to the customers as well? And perhaps that would be one of the areas that you can monetize. But yeah, there's the journey kind of like, for us, it's somewhere in the middle, but there are quite great deal of challenges. Some we have solved, and some that we are yet to solve. But eventually, once we are able to solve these challenges, we will end up in a place where the material flow business is much more efficient. Different equipments work in a more cohesive manner, and it would have surely advanced the material flow business. Yeah, that's for my short presentation. So thank you everyone for listening, and do ask questions if you have any.
Thank you, Raheel. So many insights there. I was really impressed with the level of thinking, and I actually loved or I couldn't help spotting the irony of OEM manufacturers being, having led the way for so many decades in product and product thinking, to actually have been challenged with, in the early days, producing portals and APIs that actually weren't really deeply understanding the customer, and that you've taken the perspective of reimagining the customer journey as your sort of starter point for thinking about how APIs add value. So I'm curious about what you're talking about as the discipline of product management in the future with this. How are you thinking about that in a business sense and a tech sense?
I think that is definitely, one of the technical challenges as well. I mean, being an OEM manufacturer, the selling APIs is somewhat challenging in that way. I mean, we are not born in digital organization in that sense. So the whole notion of explaining, what these APIs are to the customers, and then to the internal to our sales organization as well, that's itself is quite a big challenge, because and then the the people, of course, are the key in this one, but through retraining, through understanding how they interpret these APIs and how do they see them playing a role in the bigger ecosystem would be quite crucial as well. For sure, APIs, I mean, have been around for a very long time, and for software engineers, uh, these are very common terms. But for people, who have been selling heavy machinery and can talk about the horsepower of the machine, or then how much tons of material can it lift and how fast can it lift it, for them to then switch and talk about APIs to the customers, that's a transition that we will need to overcome and make in the near future.
Yeah, and what are what's some of the early signs of success that you're seeing and that are giving you the encouragement to,
I think the demand from the customers. I think that those are the encouraging signs that it's our customers who have been more talking about the integrations of these machines into their maintenance management systems, and the demand to have the data available to them so they can build these digital experiences or integrate these machines into their maintenance management system. I think that is those are equally encouraging signs, because when the demand changes from the customers, then we are also pushed to serve those demands and think about that. What is the benefit both for the customer as well as for the businesses as well, to serve their customers, and how do we benefit in the how do we benefit the business as well, when we serve the customers in that, through the APIs.
Yeah, interesting. And I'd be curious actually. Do you notice, and without naming names, do you notice if there's a difference in the types of industries that your customers are in, or even the geographies that they come from, or that 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 hints they're further ahead in the thinking maybe than others? I mean, they're pulling suppliers and partners like yourselves along.
Right. I think there would. I think I don't have the insights about the different industries behaving differently, but surely the maturity of the customers, how big they are and how much kind of like business muscles they have,
Yes.
does impact how willing are they to adopt the APIs, and how much demanding are they in the request for the APIs. For some smaller customers, of course, it might be so that those customer portals are equally, they are they're serving the purpose that they were meant to serve. But then some of the bigger customers which have large amount of different OEM manufacturer equipment operating in their factories in multiple different locations, then they are more prone to adopting, demanding the APIs from the OEMs so that they can build a more cohesive overview of the whole factory process, and bring efficiency to the processes.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, interesting. I
That's
mean, I
it. And
think
and
this.
it's quite like, you think it would be very common sense that yes, the OEMs are providing their own equipment, everybody's thinking on their own box, kind of, that we provide the customer portal and we can optimize and bring the most efficiency, bring the utmost efficiency from the equipment that we provide. But then again, for the customers, for the who have multiple different equipments operating, for them it's all about how the whole system operates and bringing efficiency to the whole system
Mm.
altogether.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are, I'm thinking of the parallels in other industries, and you obviously bring in expertise from outside, from broader perspective, and you talked about APIs as a technology, not necessarily just the technology that's spearheading a lot of this change.
Hmm.
How much are you looking at other industries? For example, you talked about safety, security, organizations like banks or healthcare industries that have been heavily regulated and kind of have really great know-how in this, but perhaps are lacking in some of the openness that you're talking about in exploring other ecosystems. Where do you see synergies
I
in that
think,
space?
so. It we crossing the industries realm. I mean, with perhaps we do see that in the future with the financial industry, at least, or the banks, there would be a possibility for us to, interact and exchange data through the APIs, depending on what kind of business models that we adopt for some of the new solutions. For example, mm, uh, the electrification of the equipment and leasing,
Mm.
leasing certain components of the machine rather than the whole machine, or even the whole machine. In that case, the lease is based on the number of hours the machine operates, and exchanging that whom we lease from, or the customers are provided the opportunity to lease from, that is then where we cross the industry, and you provide leasing services from some other industry, and in order to fulfill the, let's say, the terms of engagement, you need to provide them the machine data constantly, so they can monitor how many hours was the machine operated, and did it exceed the agreed amount of hours, or all
Hi,
right, Claire,
Raheel.
you're back.
Was that you or me?
I have no idea.
Or us? Oh, we're all back now.
All right, great.
So you were just actually going into the very real examples that often come up in topics at API Days conferences and the like, around embedded finance types of examples, or embedded business models you're giving around leasing and insurance.
Yeah. I guess that would be something that might affect us going forward. But like I said, that depending on the business model that we adopt, and then at that case, we will be crossing the industry boundaries as well. Where, like I said, that if we are leasing a certain components of the machine or the whole machine itself, then exchanging that data with the financial service providers, in order to see that, okay, whether the machines have been operated with within the terms of usage or not.
That's great. We're just waiting on the next speaker, who I believe is just not quite ready to speak. I'll tell you what, I'd love the opportunity, if I could, for you to go back to this if you've got your slides there.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit more about particularly the ecosystem. So
Was it this one?
yeah, this one. I was really intrigued about, almost kind of like how many places in this picture. It's not, in some ways, a little bit of equivalent to something Ollie shared with us earlier about security systems in a truck delivering to a large building. But how do you get the right people in the room to have a good conversation on actually unpicking the opportunities in something as diverse as this, let alone that we're in a pandemic and you can't get everybody in a room?
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be the tricky bits, right? Because this of course the picture represents a terminal operations where there are many different parties that are involved in different parts of the operation. So it's not just the one party that you need to have that conversation with, but actually multiple different parties. So it's not just the terminal operations, but it's the port authorities. There are the stevedores. There are the operations and the maintenance manager from all these different organizations that you need to kind of like get an agreement with in order to make the whole thing work. And that's why perhaps it has been so difficult, because there are so many different players operating in the same same space. And then on top of that, you have all these different OEMs as well. So not just the OEMs, you have then different operation, or different companies who are then operating in that terminal, different service providers who are responsible for the different manufacturer machines, and then there are the port authorities, and then there are the terminal owners themselves. So there are it's a quite a complex and huge ecosystem as well.
It is,
So
and I think we're only, the opportunities are only constrained by one's imagination. It then
yeah,
feels like this whole how to eat the elephant, one bite at a time, which I guess becomes the art rather than the science of making a difference quickly, because you can't
right.
you can't
Yeah.
analyze, and you can't even get the business case up for the
No,
scale of
but
this.
what we have seen is that one of the key players, in this whole when it comes to our machines and the similar machines that are operating, is because there's one player who's then operating and providing the terminal operation solutions, and that's the key player that is ensuring that the terminal operates in a more cohesive manner. So there are these orders coming of which containers to pick, which vessel is coming in, which vessel needs to be spend what amount of time on the berth and needs to leave in the set amount of time. So it's kind of like controlling the whole operations inside the terminal itself. So there, that party would be kind of like the most important party that is also requesting the data from all the different OEMs as well, because once you get to the data into that system, from there onwards you can develop many different solutions that can help bring efficiency to the processes.
So, Raheel, we're I think I'm going to have to draw the conversation to a close. It's been absolute delight to have you here joining us this afternoon and sharing your insights and experience, and wish you all the very, very best of luck with your
Thank you for having
continued
me, Claire. Yeah.
continued journey at Konecranes. Thank you.